Okay, here we go. Welcome to today's Entrepreneur Show. I am Heidi Richards Mooney, and I'm your host today and the founder of Women in E-Commerce, publisher of We Magazine for Women, and I am so thrilled to interview Tracey Ehman. Tracey and I have crossed paths many times on the web, through Facebook and many other venues, and I'm really thrilled because she has so much information, so much valuable experience that I know we won't get to all of it, Tracey. We're going to focus primarily on Facebook groups today, but of course, hopefully we'll be able to talk about some other things. And if anybody in the room has questions, here's how my format works. Every blab is different. I interview my guests formally and then invite people to join in toward the end of the program if we have time, rather than taking time to invite a third person. So that's kind of how I've done it, and it seems to work very well. And if we do have time, we'll certainly ask you to take the live seat. But in the meantime, if you do have questions of Tracey or of me, feel free to put them in the message area, and one of us will try to answer those during the course of today's interview. So Tracey, let me tell everybody a little bit about you.
All right.
Okay. So Tracey is a virtual marketing director for Partnering in Success and is on the executive team, as well as being a founding partner of Women Speakers Association. Whoops, we're not going to do that. I did something. Tracey had over 15 years experience as a system analyst when she decided to become a stay-at-home mom to her 2 children. After a few years and introductions to incredible individuals through networking, Tracey decided the best way to be true to her gifts was to find a way to support others in obtaining their success, and she began her virtual assistant business, Partnering in Success. She now specializes in helping businesses be found online through using the right keywords to get them seen. And keywords are so important. So hopefully we'll get to talk about that as well. She's also a founding partner with Women Speakers Association, which of course is the topic of today's conversation. So welcome, Tracey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so delighted. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about Women Speakers Association, what it is, kind of an overview of what its members, who its members are, and what geographic areas your members represent and the organization itself represents.
I would love to share that with you. Women Speakers Association is really near and dear to my heart. It's sort of almost like I eat, breathe, and sleep it, because I'm so excited about the opportunities to connect and to help women get their voices out into the world. So ultimately, we are a global network, and we actually reach 120 countries. So it's very cool to be talking to people that, people will come on and it'll be the middle of the night for them. And it's just a real neat dynamic. Our members are aspiring and professional speakers, authors, and coaches, really anyone that has a message to get out in the world. And we believe that everyone has a message to get out in the world. They might, it might be on a big stage, but it could be just a one-to-one. You're still getting your message out. And what we really want to do is help to empower people through our community to connect and collaborate with others and have that support network in place, and find out about opportunities and grow through learning from other people, because it's amazing how the members of our group really like to mentor each other and say, okay, well, don't be doing that. You want to be trying this, or this is a fabulous resource I have, or whatever it might be. So we really are about, getting women, or giving women that opportunity to connect and collaborate with like-minded people, women especially, across the world, to get your message out and to make that difference and really transform the world as we know it.
Oh, then that's such a high aspiration, and I think you're doing a great job with it. I follow it. I'm on the Facebook group. I'm one of those low-level members right now, only because I'm so involved in so many things. And when I decide to really jump in and join, you'll see I'll get really involved and involved in the Florida Speakers Association and National Speakers Association. So I'm a little bit I don't want to say overwhelmed, but I do have a full plate when it comes to a lot of those things. So how did you become involved in the Women Speakers Association?
I think if you look at everything that you do as far as businesses as an entrepreneur, however you say that, I'm going to. There you go. That's one of those.
It's harder. It's easier to read than it is to
exactly.
say.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to trip over my tongue. Well, I tend to do that, so I apologize up front. Basically, it was through connection. So, I got introduced to sort of the mission and the vision of where Women Speakers Association was going to be going, and I was actually the person that helped develop and put up the first website. So I've kind of sort of worn different hats throughout it, but basically sort of being there to put my input into the vision, put my input into just being involved and doing what I can to support the members. So it really is that whole connect and collaborate is really our model for Women Speakers Association, is connecting with women who have a whether it be a service, an insight. Everybody has sort of that expert that they really specialize in, and how coming together we can create something absolutely incredible.
So do you help people find their message, for instance, if they are not exactly sure what that message is?
So we have a number of different training opportunities within our membership, and some of them, you might have come on a speaker chat, for instance. I'll use that as an example, and we basically are providing training in 140 characters or less, but it will be on the topics that our membership is looking for. So sometimes it is working on how do you develop that message? How do you know it's the right message for you? How do you build your list? How do you write a press release? It could be anything that's associated with speaking as a business, or using speaking as a way to educate people on what you do. So we have virtual roundtables that we do, and we have a conversation starter. So it could very well be how do you the three things that you need to look at when you're developing your message. So we have a lot of that within our membership area.
And you also, so you mentioned the 140 characters or less, so I'm assuming that's your tweet
yes,
chat.
That's our speaker chat. So
I think that's just a wonderful tool. I've actually watched that a couple of times as well and participated minimally. I give my feedback when I think it's important, and I'm one of those people that rarely speaks up unless I feel I can add to a conversation. So, at my stage in life, I don't need to hear myself speak, and if I do, I use Blab for that. So it's always good. So what is the criteria to become a member of the Women Speakers Association?
It's an interesting question. Criteria are if you're, ideally you're a woman who has a message to get out in the world, that wants support. You can be, we do have a number of ladies in our membership that are, professional certified speakers, that the speaking part of speaking is their business. It's not speaking as a tool to promote the other services that they provide. So we have that whole wide range. So anyone can join us. But we do cater, it's a Women's Speakers Association, and we cater to women.
And so do you have different levels of membership?
Yes, we do. We have the associate membership that you mentioned previously. So that is our free membership, and that allows you to kind of get your feet wet and start your connections, and there's definitely some learning that's part of that. As you go into your members area, you can take us up on some of that information. We also have a premier membership. So the premier membership, there's additional calls that you can attend. There's additional training. So like the virtual roundtable is specifically for our premier members. Our tweet chat, our speaker chat, we have a transcript of sort of a summary of the questions and answers that happen during them. So if you can't be on on it individually and it's moving really quickly and you can't get it all, then you can actually get a transcript for that. Anytime we have any special events, there's definitely, a big discount for our Premier members. And as a Premier member, when you join us as a Premier member, we are partnering with eSpeakers, so you get an eSpeakers profile, which is a huge opportunity to get another little piece of that virtual real estate that's out there, and another opportunity to share what it is that you speak of and the topics that you want to address. So that's sort of it in kind of a nutshell. Does that help? Yeah.
That's great. No, and I appreciate that. And I just wanted to let Yusuf Muhammad know that we're not opening up the extra seat until the end. I like to have a formal interview with my guests first and then open it up at the end for questions. So if you don't mind holding on at the end, if we have time, we'll be happy to open it up so that you can ask questions. But if you do have a burning question during the program today, please feel free to type it in the message area, and Tracey and I will try to answer that as best as we can. So thank you for understanding and for being with us today. So Tracey, let's move over to the Facebook group, because I think that people want to know, I think one of the things people want to know, first of all, is it worth starting a Facebook group, and how hard is it, why you start it, and sort of, so tell us about your Facebook group, how it started and its purpose, because I know you have a lot of members.
We do, yes. And we decided we wanted to have another place for people to sort of connect and find out about what everyone offers, but also have a place for us to share some of our information as well. So we started with a Facebook group, and as an associate member currently, and things are always evolving. So, it all depends on what's going to happen next. But associate members currently and Premier members are in this group. It is a private group, so you do have to request to join in. Within our members area, within the back end of our members area, there's a direct link, so you can go in and ask to join in. And what we find is that the whole Facebook algorithm of how things show up, we do show up a lot on people's suggested groups to join. So that's where a lot of our new members have come from, because they've been on Facebook interacting with other people, and all of a sudden it'll come up on the sidebar. We really like the whole atmosphere of the Facebook group. As we've grown, so we're about 9,300 members in there, we definitely had to put in a lot more facilitation. And so we did things like, and you're in there, so you'll notice that we have like daily threads. And what that allows us to do is to keep that information all in one place. It's easy for people to find. And if 9,300 people were posting individual posts in there, honestly, no one would see it. And we don't want it to be a promotional place. We want it to be a safe place where you can learn and connect with people. And if there's a promotional aspect of it, then we ask people to keep it within the comments of that thread. And it's worked really quite nicely for us. I mean, obviously, some people want to be promoting all the time, and they basically get you on, Hootsuite, and they post to like 30 groups the same information. So that's not something that we really condone. And we have the policies and procedures set up. So, we ask when people come in, please read those. It just makes such a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
So.
And so for the most part, I think, do you think people follow the rules in terms of the groups?
Yes.
The rules and things that are, so with your group, are people allowed to post or just comment? In other words, do you have a daily post, and then and that's like the topic of the day? And I know you do have this, but I don't know exactly how else you've set it up. So tell us a little bit about the structure of the group.
So we have a daily post that goes out at 5 a.m. my time, and most of our days we'll have more than one post. We'll probably have 2 posts during the days. And we structure it in a way that it has a banner at the top, so you can tell it's sort of a WSA sanctioned post. A lot of these ones come with my name attached to it because you can't actually post as the group. You actually have to post as an individual within the group. So we have about 3 or 4 people who help to moderate the group with us. Have Deb Coleman and Mary Joyce, and we're all at different hours, so we're at different time zones, which helps a lot. So there's times where we do get people that sort of don't follow the instructions, and it's usually an oversight. I know people are overwhelmed and they've joined 50 things, and everybody has different policies and procedures, but we're a large group, and the opportunity for you to learn about other people and connect, and just even going through and reading through those individual threads, you can learn so much. And what it does is it brings you top of mind when you're thinking about, when you contacted me, for instance, right? It may be that you're learning about me and that you want to make that connection. So it's that, although we don't condone going, okay, I'm going to send a message to every single person. Right. That's not how we work. What are my group links? Hi there, Coach Jenny. So let's just see if this will take you there. So we have WSA facebookgroup.com. Now, you won't be let in immediately if you are not an associate member. You will be contacted. So because we have a number of people consistently requesting to join us, then we kind of got to go through and we're trying to vet and make sure everybody's a member. And if you're not a member, we'll provide you with a link so that you can become a member to join our group. So as far as moderating too, some people there's always the odd person who doesn't want to follow the rules. And if you're not going to follow the rules, then, potentially we'll be having a conversation and and I won't be slapping you. Honestly, it's not that. It's just, we really want to respect everybody else who is following the rules within the group. And it is a community. So in a community, you're respectful, and the rules are there actually to help everybody out. So.
Well, and if you don't follow the rules and people see it and they may not have been paying much attention prior, they think it's okay if you don't moderate it. So you have to. I think that in a group situation, especially with a group of 9,000 people, if you don't moderate it, you're gonna find problems later on where it becomes a free-for-all. I've been in groups where all they do is promote. Go to this link, do that. And I love the way that you post a daily, maybe twice a day, as you mentioned, topic, and then people can weigh in. And I think that's a great way for us to actually promote what we're doing. So like when you ask for a resource that we've developed or a new event that we have coming up, and I'd like you to maybe share a few more of the types of topics you cover. We can sit there and say, oh, I've got this event coming up. It's virtual. We'd love everybody to join. So when you figure 9,000 people, more people are going to see that than the ones who you post onto your personal timeline because of the way the algorithms work with Facebook. I'm a huge proponent of Facebook groups only because I know that if you do it right and you're respectful of the group's rules, you can build some amazing relationships. So tell us a little bit about the daily posts, what the kind of questions that you post or topics that you post.
Well, we always want to, part of our sort of mantra is get seen, get paid. So getting seen is, Mondays posting whether it be your website or your social media links, all within the thread. And really, like you said, that just makes it so much easier because maybe I'm not interested in looking at resources right now. So I might not look at that particular post of that day, but I might go back and look at people that I can, go like their page or go like their Twitter account or whatever information they put within the thread of that particular thread. The comments of that particular thread. We have inspirational, share your inspirational posts. Everybody has something a mantra that they live by, or a post or a quote that they love. So we have those, shared later in the day. We'll have, on one day we have, join us on our LinkedIn group on for Women Speakers Association, but also share your individual LinkedIn profile. The resources day, you touched on it, like what resource you can't do without, and there's always so many new ones. I mean, when Blab first came into play, right, people were like, oh, you've got to try out Blab. So it's always great being able to sort of start that conversation. The conversations can continue within the Blab or within the comments themselves. So, I could tag Heidi and say, yeah, I love Blab too. Like, so you can actually keep the conversations going by tagging people within that thread. So there's a lot of power that way. And you're right, a lot of people end up being seen. And Coach Jenny was saying, like, her Facebook group has radically upgraded her business. And definitely by being able to show what you offer and the value you offer and also the support that you offer, I think is a huge, huge aspect of Facebook groups.
I agree. And I just want to welcome a couple of people, Audrey Bell Kearney, and of course, my dear, dear friend, and she's one of our platinum members for Women in E-Commerce, Sheila Finkelstein, and everybody needs to know. Everybody needs to know everybody here. I want to mention when you talked about posting in the individual threads, I have actually gone to a lot of those people's pages after viewing our profiles, after seeing what they posted, if I liked them, and I've reached out, and I'm kind of a lazy networker in that I kind of tend to see what people who comes to me, and I don't often reach out, and it's partly because I'm close to the 5,000 mark, so it's not like I have the time to maintain any more relation, properly. But every single week I find several really amazing women through your group and through a couple of others, but specifically your group, because we have similar aspirations. We're all I'm a professional speaker. I remember when I was a starting speaker, when all I did was use speaking to promote my business. I wasn't using speaking as a platform for getting more speaking gigs. And now all of a sudden it's the opposite, and it just kind of turned out that way. So I feel like I'm a good resource for people, but I've also learned quite a bit from the women in the group that share, which is why I love the groups, because it's that collaborative effort, almost like a mastermind where people are sharing. It's not just about Tracey and whomever else is. I think it's I want to say Melanie Benson. I love her. I've interviewed her a couple times. Amazing woman, and I'm not sure about the founder. I've not talked with her, but I read her bio, Gail. And I mean, just amazing women are at the helm of this organization. So, of course, I stalked you all. And really, now you pay attention. It helps bring, in my opinion, certain things to the forefront of your mind that you may not have thought about before. So I think that that's another really positive thing for Facebook groups. Let's talk a little bit about, if we could, promoting the group. So first of all, how do women find out about your group, in addition of obviously the suggested groups? And what are some of the key strategies that you and the other partners of the WSA employ to grow the group? And do you want to grow the group?
That's actually an interesting question, and we just got back from an incredibly inspirational retreat. I can't say it. Retreat. I'm so Twitter all the time. Retweet. And so there's a lot of things sort of in the pipe, and we'll be rolling things out as we start to sort of fine tune things. But part of it with our Facebook group really is there as an opportunity for our membership to connect. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. We don't really promote it. Is it something that maybe we're going to? Maybe. Has it worked to, convert people that are maybe interested in the topic and the group into our new members? Yes. So I don't think we're going to put a cap on the group. We might change some of the dynamics of the group. That's what happens as things start to grow, especially as we're reaching our 10,000 person mark. It's quite a large group. A lot of groups tend to be a fair bit smaller. As long as we're still providing the value at where we're at, then we'll keep things the same. If we can see that we can add more value by maybe breaking out sections. And I don't know if I want to create another group or not, but there's conversations being had where we can kind of figure out what is the best for our members. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to. How can we best serve our members? How can we best serve the opportunity to connect and collaborate with each other? It's just so crazy to watch those connections and collaborations and joint venture opportunities and being, interviews like this or teleseminars or upcoming events that people will draw from people that they build relationships with, and within our group we're building relationships. And I think that's really huge. If that stops to happen, then it's time to revisit the model that we have. But the model we have is working pretty good.
It's working really well. And so I guess the big $1 million question is how you got to 9,000 members, because I think a lot of people have the same thoughts. Not that I want to be necessarily a 9,000 member group unless I had a lot of help as you do in moderating and stuff, because it could be a full-time job. But I think that having a larger group, I have one group that's under 100 and one group that's just under 1,000, and they're both different. The 100 group is more like it's actually, I think, 68 people, and it's really, it's not really interactive, but a lot of business takes place because it's more like a mastermind, if you will. And whereas the larger group has less interaction, but more people. So different people interact all the time. So I guess, yeah. How did you grow it to 9,000 people? And welcome, Michelle.
I don't know. No, it's surprised. It wasn't intentional.
Okay.
It was intentional in that. Well, that's how many members. I mean, we have that number of members, right? So we really want to make sure that as people join us, that they do come and join the group. But a lot of it is just that great interaction that we have going on. People are going, hey, I'm part of the Women's Speakers Association group, and I learned this, or I got to connect with this person, or, so it's a word of mouth thing. It's also the whole Facebook algorithm that comes into play as well. I think that your groups will show up in other people's feeds as suggested groups if there's keywords being used that are things that you're searching for, that you as a speaker on Facebook, you're always looking for certain topics or certain things that you're always drawn to. And that based on the ads that always show up on your feed, right? Same idea with the Facebook group. If our topic and our mission and our conversations are touching on the topics that you are interested in, it's going to show up there. So obviously the more people that are involved in the group and the more people that aren't just sort of watching, but the more people that are interacting, I think it just gives us more and more value. And that's how we end up growing the group, is that, we probably get, probably about 50 people wanting to join a day. Like it's amazing how much it's grown. Initially it was, a couple here or there. And then now it's like, these are people that are not members yet either as well. So it's really a cool thing to watch. I think there's value though in having smaller groups as well, depending on, if you're talking about maybe more of a niche item or a particular topic, or if you're running a coaching program. There's so many reasons to have the smaller groups, and you're not necessarily looking to grow those particular groups. You want them as a place where people feel safe and where people are willing to connect with each other and share, and so there's benefits to
and
all.
I totally agree. I don't think there's anything wrong in having a smaller group. I like the small group. I'm okay with it staying at the number or close to it that it is. I would like the larger group to grow more, maybe not 9,000 people, because again, I would have to have a lot more help. So what are some of the benefits of having a Facebook group? I mean, I know we've talked about a lot. Oh, before we say that, I just wanted to say to Sheila, it's called the Women's Speakers Association, and I believe that Tracey just posted. Oh, you found it. Good. All right. Yay.
Perfect.
Go ahead, Tracey. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So can you say your
Of
question
course.
again?
Well, I am not good at multitasking. And I don't want to ever assume or anybody think I am, although they sometimes do. So what are some of the benefits of having your own Facebook group?
I think that it really gives people another way. I'm a firm believer that people process information differently. Some people will happily go to a website and not interact with anybody and just read what's there. Other people want to have that interaction. Other people want to be held accountable, or they want to have someone to have something that's structured for them. So I think that having a number of different ways for people to communicate with you, for you to share your information out, is important, and that the Facebook group is just another option for that.
Excellent. And I wanted to mention again, you mentioned that people at 50 people a day asked to join. So what is your process? Do you ask them to go and join WSA first as an associate member, and then they can be part of the group? Is that, I don't remember because it's been so long. I think I was one in the first maybe couple thousand that joined.
Yeah, so that's what we try to do at the most part. Is sometimes what we'll do is we might let somebody in for like a 24-hour period, to just as we are saying, hey, yeah, please go sign up, and then if not, then they'll be removed. So it just depends on how many people are coming in and trying to keep up with everybody that is. But we will send you a message and we will request that you join, activate your free WSA membership. Can I put that on there again, just for anybody
doing that? That's fine, because we keep getting new people. And Frank Clark, just wanted to say welcome. I loved welcoming Matt. I love saying the word welcome, Matt. It's like a double entendre, and I'm sure he gets that a lot. And everybody who's here, thank you so much for being with us today. It's really nice when you see a lot of people participating in these programs, because there's so much really great information. So again, benefits of having a Facebook group is what we were talking about.
Yeah, so like I said, any way that you can get your information out there in different formats, email, newsletter, in your social media posts, on your LinkedIn, so you need to give people different opportunities on how they're going to digest information and how they're going to access information. So having a Facebook group is definitely something that you want to have in your arsenal, and it doesn't have to be as big as as what we have. It really doesn't, because you can't do it on your own, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the tips that you have for our listeners who would like to start their own Facebook group?
Well, I didn't have any tips written down, but I mean, a couple of things. When you're naming it, you want to, I'm going back to the keywords that I love. You want to name it something that, if you're looking at growing the group as far as just growing the group and not necessarily having it attached to a program or an association, you want to create a title of the group that has some keywords in it, so that people that are searching for, these are what people are searching for. So if it's some kind of, I don't want to say weird name, but you say you have some kind of interesting title that you want to put on it, think about it. Who are going to find it? Because a lot of times you're going to get the wrong audience to follow you. I think as well that it's always a good idea to have the ability to allow people into your group, because you can have a public group and anybody can join. You also want to, and I mean, that might work for you as well. So I'm not saying that you can't do the public group, but I kind of sort of hang out more in the private groups, maybe a little bit moderated. You want to probably make sure that, you check your settings. You don't want to make it so that anybody that is now a member of that group can add their friends in, because that might not be the right fit either. So I think everything has to kind of come through that. Is it the right fit, so that you can actually reach out and maybe, sometimes you got to do a little bit of checking on people and seeing what they're posting out there. If they're members of 1,000 groups and you are already in about 5 of those, and you see that same post that is automatically posted in there, it might be more of a conversation that you can have before you kind of allow access to your group. So it's not being discriminatory, but it's taking into consideration the other members of the group, and just sort of keeping it. I think the more that you keep control of your group as far as, setting the boundaries, the expectations, and providing value, the better your group is gonna go, and the more opportunity it's gonna be shared to others.
And I agree. I was on a group called Rise. It was a social network way before Facebook, LinkedIn, and all of them. It actually even, I think, was before MySpace. And I had a large group. It was one in the top 20 in the world. But of course, Rise never rose to the top like the rest of them. No pun intended. I think globally they might have had 1 million people, and so it never took off like Facebook and all of them. But the fact was that I didn't start out my group with moderating, and I found that there were just so many people misusing the group, mainly probably out of ignorance. They didn't understand that I had to end up being moderated. And I got a lot of flack at the beginning because people were like, oh, that's, what do they call that? When you're not allowing people free speech and all of that. But what happened was that the members that really participated properly thanked me. So I think that it's important that you at least watch what's going on, and you maybe have a couple of people help you, moderate, as you will. Very important. So how much time do you spend on the Facebook group? A day, or if you have an idea?
Because I have help with it now, which makes it really nice. I'm usually probably in there at least an hour a day, but in bits and pieces now. So just kind of sort of an overview of things. My posts are scheduled because I'm not up at 5 in the morning my time, but because we have, a lot of people on the East Coast as well, that shows up 8 o'clock their time, which seems to be a great activity time. So I think kind of watching and seeing when people interact and determining when your post should go up is an important aspect of this. I'm multitasking again, so therefore I'm I'm a little lost on that question again. Sorry about that. So it's gone.
Did your amount of time that you spend on the group?
Yeah, so I would say, probably on average, probably about 45 minutes to an hour a day, but in little
chunks.
Little chunks. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let me see. Sheila has a question. Is there any way we can invite people into a group in the same way we can access our friends when we set up an event? It gives us the opportunity to add people, but I will not add people arbitrarily without permission. And I think that's a great question, Sheila. So your group is different because it's closed. So if you want to address.
Yeah. Yeah, our group is different because it's closed. So, so I'm just reading through here, friends, when we set up an event, it gives us the opportunity to add people, but I won't, yeah. And I don't add people either. So our group is set up in a way that you have to ask to be added. As a moderator, you can invite people to join your group. So you can send out that invitation, but it doesn't necessarily have to, it's not going to automatically put them in the group, because there's nothing worse than ending up in a whole bunch of groups that I didn't know about. So I think that that's really important as well. Nurthis, thank you. I will take a look at that. I appreciate your food. That I like FYI. Yes. So, things are moving targets all the time. As you're always changing and adjusting, and we always love the feedback. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So in a private group, you can invite people to join, but they still have to be approved. Is that what you're saying? So they're not automatically added to the group? Because I didn't know that, and I have 2 groups on Facebook, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I have another client who is doing, so we got private and then you've got secret. So you can actually send a message specifically to that person, but you have to be like the owner of the group. So for instance, if you're on the WSA Facebook group, you can't invite somebody else via email. It's me that has to kind of do it.
So in other words, you can't go into the Facebook group and say, here, I'd like to tell you about it. You can't do that. You can tag them though, right? In a post on your own page.
You can send them. You can share a link to it, but you can't necessarily invite them. I'd have to take a look and not be able. I'd have to go in as somebody else and give you a straight answer on that, because I mean, we have, some people are definitely coming to our group, but
because I know in private groups you can't share the post. You can copy and paste them onto your timeline, but you can't. There's no button to share because it's a private group. Facebook wants to keep it that way, which I think is important. So, for instance, over on the right-hand side, Sheila, in some of the groups, it will allow you to invite. If you look at the Facebook group, it'll say you can invite people. And if it's a private group, it probably, I don't know if it has that. I've never seen it in a private group. Do you have it in yours?
Yeah, so if you go, Sheila, if you go to your Facebook group, and you'll see beside it has like share and notifications, and then it has, dot, dot, dot. There's some extra options there, and it'll let you know whether you're able to invite people to your group or not. And there really is an option there where you can add people to your group. So that is a possibility, but not something that I would ever suggest using.
No, I don't do it
because
I only do it for my own group, not for groups I'm part of. I may tell people about it like in a private message, or even I might even mention it on my timeline, but I've never added people to a group without their permission, of course. And I think that that's really a smart move. Wanted to welcome Donald and Empress Chachana to today's discussion. So thank you. If you had one thing to do over again, Tracey, with the group, what would it be and why?
That's a really hard one. I mean, I don't know that there's anything that I would change, because the adjustments that we made over time have been based on the number of people that are in the group, and what we had initially worked for the numbers that we had. And as our numbers evolved, we made the changes. So I think the big thing would be to remember that it's your group. You can make those changes. Obviously you got to give some explanation and a heads up, but as things evolve, people will understand that things need to change. I would love it if there was a way within Facebook to, better control, that whole invite and acceptance process, because it gets to the point where you're responding through your personal Facebook, because you have to do people to people, and it's really hard to control those messages and where they are and find them afterwards. So if Facebook's listening, I would to be able to have some extra technical assistance in that, because it's not us reaching out to people and spamming them. It's us replying to their requests. So we are trying to follow up on their request, and there should be a little better way of doing it.
Yeah, so if they could have a separate area for messages just for and from that group, it would probably be a benefit. So Facebook, if you're listening, yeah, that would be one of the. You know what, Tracey? You can always give them the suggestion. Facebook's really wonderful. They don't necessarily respond, but I think they read a lot of them, because I've seen things where they've said members have suggested this, and so here's what we're doing. And conversely, if they don't think it's going to benefit them overall, in the long run, they're not going to do it. So
no, that's true.
It's their business. It's their. That's the downside of having any of these free tools. Like I keep all of my recordings from this, etc. I download everything, for the simple fact that if we ever lost Blab, because you can see there are a lot of, social media sites that have come and gone. Not saying Facebook would ever do that, but you know how they've deleted things. I remember when they had events on LinkedIn, and they no longer have that. Man, I depended on that so much for inviting people to my events, both locally and virtually, that when it was gone, I was lost for a while. And so you got to be careful how dependent you become on any of these free social media tools. So what's the one bit of advice that you would give to someone that you've probably not shared yet? Is there anything else you'd like to say about groups? And then I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing and maybe what's coming up for you.
So anything else about groups? I really don't know what to add. We actually touched on a lot of information today. Maybe if someone has a question about what else that might have touched on. But I do agree. I just kind of want to reiterate what you just said about all these free platforms that we do use. Like, it's important. Make sure if you're blogging, make sure it's on something that you're hosting, that you have the information. Always keep a copy of it, because it's free, therefore the content is not ours. Even though we created it and we put it on there, we do not own it. So it's really important to make sure that if there's some great information, that you can take a copy and keep it somewhere where you can actually access it. Because yes, things change all the time. Technology, something new and better can come up tomorrow and knock some of this great technology off the face of the earth. So you do want to definitely keep track of things that way.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Tracey. Tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Well, thank you for asking.
I told you I make a script, but I totally deviate from it most of the time, and sometimes it throws my guests off. But we really want to know, because obviously what you do is very important, or you wouldn't be a part of this larger picture, and as far as this group is concerned. So I think knowing what you do personally, business-wise, helps people to understand.
Well, thank you. Yeah, what I do is I work with businesses to get a broad overview of what they want to achieve, who their market is, and what their goals are. And what I was, as you mentioned sort of in the beginning intro there, I really concentrate on determining the right keywords that your target market, people that you can provide the best service and the best assistance and help to, are going to be searching for. And a lot of the times, I'd say 70% of the time, it's not what you think it's going to be. They are not searching for those words. So what I've done is I'm putting together a program, and I do have, I'm going to put it in this in here as well, but I have a report. I'm just working on getting sort of the sales page, the information page put together, but the report is actually available to people. And it's how to find and how to incorporate the right keywords into everything you do online. It's not just blabbing, and it's not just your website, and it's not just your social media. It's all the combined aspects of things. Because it's really important not to be kind of going off on one direction with your Twitter and a different direction with LinkedIn. And, so you really want to concentrate on the value added information that you can provide to people and how they can find you. So that's sort of where my concentration
Excellent.
is.
So we're almost out of time, but we have Nirthis would like to know the URL to your business. And then if you could tell us what your favorite website or online tool is, we'd love to know what that is. The one tool that you cannot live without.
The one tool I cannot live without, as I'm typing, so we'll see how I do. I love Buffer. I am a big fan of Buffer. It allows me to have a functionality, especially with images when I'm posting it on the Facebook groups. I found that when I was using some other programs, I'd get the link to the image in a little image versus the full-on image. So I really, really like Buffer. I also like Twubs, and that's where we do our weekly speaker chat on. And it allows us to really get people to follow our hashtag speaker chat and actually converse in a set location. I'm going to put that on there too, just so people can see. So it allows us not only to brand the page, but it also allows us to only things that show up on that feed are something that has the hashtag speaker chat with it. So I think that's really important.
Excellent.
What is another program? I love this too. I must say that I think Blab is a great way for you to get to know me. I mean, you can see I trip over words and I can multitask to a point, but you sort of start to build that relationship. And I think most of our businesses are really about relationships, because there's probably like 30 or 30,000 people that offer exactly the same thing as I do, but you might choose to work with me because you built the relationship with me now, even though we're just starting right now. It's amazing how it's like, okay, wait a second. I think I could actually talk to that person. I think she might get me, and she doesn't talk in, convoluted words that I don't understand. I mean, So I think it's really important. And this is actually, I've got a couple of clients just because I've sent them to my links for interviews. So this is very,
I
very
agree.
cool.
This shows that we're real people. I think it's hard to come across in the written word or even all the things that we do, even when we're sharing a lot of great resources online. Having something, I used to do a lot with podcasting, and now I found, I think that I love the fact that, not everybody's going to like me. They're not going to like what I look like. They're not going to like, the fact that I may be I'm not in, the millennial generation or whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Me neither.
I attract the people that are attracted to me. And that's what you have to understand in all of these mediums, is that the right people can find you, and doing something like Blab just gives them one more touch point or opportunity to say, wow, I really need to contact that person. So I just want to say, first of all, welcome to Get a Life. And thank you, Nerthus, and everybody who has really responded and commented and participated. So what's the best way for our audience to get in touch with you, Tracey?
The best way for people to get in touch with me is I'm just thinking of the best way to get in touch with me. You can go to my website. I put that up earlier, partneringandsuccess.com. Also on Twitter. Like I love interacting on Twitter. So my handle is I'm partner in biz. I'm going to put myself up there. So come and join me on Twitter, and definitely go ahead and use the direct message. And I do respond. I look at those daily. Some interviews have come out of that, some connections, and then we can kind of take it to the next level. So I think that's really important. That's probably one of the best places to go. Another thing that you can go to is if you go to asktracey.com, Tracey with an EY, there's a form there. So you can also fill out the form. I have it labeled as your social media questions, but it can be, because I love social media, but I love the overall online presence and how it all connects together.
I so agree, and thank you for sharing. And I'm putting down my groups as well. Women in E-commerce being the #1 group. I started that in 2001. So, and Sheila, and we have a lot of members in that group. And we just, it's funny. I didn't have a Facebook group for our higher level members, and just started one when we redesigned our website 3 weeks ago, actually. So we have, our group is under 100 right now, but we'll probably end up around 300 because that's about how many of the higher level members we have. We may open it up to silver members. We haven't decided yet, but I put down a little special we're having if anybody would like to check that out. And of course, please do follow Tracey on Women's Speakers Association on Blab. Check out her websites, go to her Facebook group and join that. I know you've got a lot of places online that we can find you. And I think if you just Google Tracey, you're going to find out more about her than you ever thought imaginable, because she's smart about keywords. I found you really easily. Tracey, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. I wish we had more time. I just want to mention our next speaker is in just 7 minutes. It's Stephanie Lahart, and she's with Havana Marketing, and she's going to be talking about using Google AdWords to get more business. So, Tracey, thank you so much again for being with us.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone, and we will chat soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.